Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Wright Experience podcast tonight. I'm Dr. William T. Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. It is an absolute pleasure for me to be here to bring you another edition of the podcast. And tonight, we apologize for being a little bit late, but we wanted to make sure that we brought you another quality podcast tonight. And tonight's guest, of course, is no exception. I met this gentleman upon my arrival here in Sumter, South Carolina, and I found him to be an amazing leader and a good friend. And so tonight we're going to give you the opportunity to meet him. Our guest tonight is Dr. Michael Sonntag, who is the Dean of USC Sumter, which is a subsidiary of the University of South Carolina that is housed in Sumter, South Carolina. Dr. Sonntag, of course, is an amazing leader that has been working in higher education leadership for many, many years. And we're going to give him the opportunity to come and let you meet him and give him space to talk to us about the wonderful world of higher education leadership. So at this time, I'd like to welcome to the Wright Experience, Dr. Mike Sonntag. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Dr. Wright. Good to see you. I hope you don't mind. I know I'm going to slip and call you William, so let's.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's who we are to each other, right? So that's no problem. So let's get right into talk to us a little bit about yourself and your career. I think that will be appropriate tonight, and then we'll get into some of the questions. Just talk about how you got to USC Sumter and some of the preparatory work that you did prior to that.
Okay. I'll try not to be too long.
Okay.
I'm a first-generation college student. I grew up in a small farming, ranching town in Texas of about 400 people. So little bitty town, not many folks went to college. My parents did not go to college, but I had some really great experiences with teachers along the way who encouraged me, and my parents were also encouraging. Grandparents were especially encouraging, one grandmother in particular. And went to Baylor for undergraduate school, met my wife there. We got married my senior year. I went to graduate school at the University of Arkansas in psychology. My PhD is in psychology. And of course, figured out I want to do research and teach. And so got on the job market before I finished my PhD and got a job, fortunately, at Lander University up in Greenwood, South Carolina.
Yep.
And got my tenure there and did a bunch of things, wonderful things in administration. Some administrators trusted me and asked me to do some work. And, that's my first piece of advice is if you're interested in moving up, when someone asks you to do something and you think you can do it and do it well, then do it.
By all means, right? Get that exposure. Absolutely.
And so fortunately, my chair, my provost, ultimately the president, said, I think you can go and do other things if you want to. So I took a vice president for academic affairs position up at the University of Maine in Presque Isle. So hauled my family. By then I had we had two kids and moved off to far north Maine where it's very cold.
Wow.
Was there for 7 years. I was at Lander for 11 years, went up there for 7 years as VPAA and provost, had a little experience running a magnet math and science school at the same time for a year as I was also academic affairs vice president. Then want to get back down south and have more responsibility for an entire campus, and looked at presidencies and chancellorships and found this campus where the sort of chief executive is a dean, and this suited me very well. We serve a lot of first generation students. It's the right size. With a real outward-looking community relationship that's important to me and my wife, and just a good community. And here we are, 8+ years later. So that's my path.
So to be clear for our viewers, when the University of South Carolina-Sumter refers to your title as dean, that's the equivalent of a college president on your campus. Is that correct?
It's complicated, William, to be honest. I wouldn't want to misrepresent that.
Sure.
I have I can quickly explain it to you.
Right.
The four-year campuses, Beaufort, Aiken, Upstate, those three comprehensive institutions have chancellors.
Okay.
And the president or the top person is the president in Columbia. Right. We all report to the same board. 10 years ago, they created a unit within USC called Palmetto College that was designed to facilitate and deliver online programs. Mm-hmm. And they hired a chancellor to oversee that. So not a campus chancellor, but a unit chancellor. That's Dr. Susan Elkins. And when they created that unit, they moved all the 2-year campuses, which at that time sort of was run out of the provost's office in Columbia, is my understanding. They moved all of us under Dr. Elkins, the chancellor of Palmetto College. But as far as the everyday business of the campus, the dean's doing those kinds of things for this campus.
And that work is under your leadership. Great. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about specifically the University of South Carolina-Sumter, and I've been there. I've toured it. Certainly an amazing campus, and you guys have a lot of wonderful programs available for young folks to come and be a part of. But let's take this space and time to talk about what is attractive about USC Sumter for a prospective student.
Yeah, thank you for that. Our mission is to provide education and leadership and service to the counties of Sumter, Clarendon, Lee, Kershaw, and others. And really, that mission has expanded to the rest of the state and to the country in our relationship with Palmetto College, which I'll talk in a little while, does, again, distance learning. We offer associates and Associate of Arts degrees and Associate of Science degrees. We offer over 20 degree completion programs. So once you got your associate degree, you can move on and do these 20, and they're really career-oriented kinds of degree completion programs. And those are offered, again, through Palmetto College and many of the other campuses in the USC system. We have for a long time offered the Bachelor of Business Administration on ground in relationship with USC Aiken. And recently, we're very proud of the fact that we have added a bachelor's in nursing, which the community's always had an RN to BSN, not always, but for a while now had an RN to BSN and other nursing programs. But really, there was a need for a bachelor's degree nursing program right here in town. And so we developed that. And teacher education, where you know better than anybody how short we are of teachers in our area. So we expanded those programs with USC Aiken, and we're in our second or third year of those programs, and they're going gangbusters. So I would say that's a huge draw. Is we were designed originally 50 plus years ago to do 2 years and move on to one of the other campuses. And that's still a big part of our mission, is a funnel into the other 4-year campuses. But you can come here and get select 4-year degrees, either online or face-to-face. Our tuition and other costs are among the lowest in the USC system. We have a 15-to-1 student ratio, so very personable, one-on-one opportunities for students. All of our faculty, not all, most of our faculty have the terminal degree in their disciplines. They conduct research and other scholarship, often involving students as co-researchers, which I would say that's a draw for any student that's interested in going on and graduate school and so forth. Those are valuable experiences. This, we serve high school students through our dual enrollment program, our early college program. All the Sumter School District high schools, participate in that. We have several Richland and Lexington County schools and a good number of private high schools across the state, and some of the online high schools as well. So we're again, that's where, again, our mission really is across the state. I'm particularly happy about that's happened in the last 8-9 years that I've been part of USC Sumter. We now have 9 athletic teams.
Oh, wow.
We have a long history of softball and baseball. Baseball's big in our community, but we've added men's and women's golf, men's and women's soccer, men's and women's tennis, and most recently volleyball. Our volleyball just completed its 2nd year as a program. And so it's very exciting. It's adding life to both our campus, but also our community. The neat thing about some of these teams is they really attract people from the international, from beyond our own borders. And so we're seeing our campus get more diverse in that sense. We were the first school in South Carolina to start a varsity esports team, a competitive esports team. We started off with playing 1 or 2 games with I don't know, 6 or 7 students, and now we've got over 30 students that compete.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we've had students go out to the West Coast and compete, and of course, because it's a different kind of league, they can actually make money and do all that kind of stuff. So that's been a lot of fun watching develop. A couple of accolades that I like to share, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
We're currently ranked the number 2 community college in South Carolina. Very proud of that.
Congratulations. Absolutely.
Thank you. I know you don't often brag about number 2, but that's close to number 1. And our sister school at Lancaster is in number 1. So we're in good company. We're a military-friendly university, which means we're committed to creating a sustainable and meaningful relationship with our military community, as I certainly believe we should with Shaw here. We have the highest success rate, which means our students have either graduated or gone on to more college within 3 years of starting with us. We have the highest that rate in South Carolina among public 2-year institutions. That's both tech and the other USC campuses. And we have the 2nd highest graduation rate of all South Carolina public 2-year institutions. So we're very, very, very proud of that. And I guess the last one that I'll mention is that we've had record enrollment for the last 6 years. And this year, just last Thursday, which was our census date, we passed 1,500 students for the first time. So that was
congratulations on
thank
that.
you.
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's pretty huge for us, and we're going to celebrate a little bit tomorrow with our faculty and staff. So
what time's the celebration?
I believe we kick off at 6 o'clock.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. But congratulations to you on that, as well as all of the other accomplishments. And like I said, certainly you're doing some amazing work over there. So we mentioned teacher ed. I'm probably going to go there. So of course, don't know if it affects you guys with hiring professors, but certainly at the K-12 level, all across the United States right now, we are in a teacher shortage is probably a mild way of putting it. We're in desperate need for professionals to be going into the profession. So talk about some ways that we can work collaboratively together to try to fix that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And you and I have had some meetings already and talked.
Right.
And, so part of my job is go around and talk to superintendents about just that issue. Again, we started a teacher education program here in town. So we're hoping, just like with nursing, that if we can keep local students after they graduate from high school and come here, you and I both know if they leave and go to another community and get their degree and they do their student teaching in that town, well, student teaching often leads to a job.
Right.
So ours are leaving to do that. Well, we thought we need to keep them here so they can student teach with you, and then you find the best and the brightest and keep them and hire them and keep them in our community. So I think that's one of the big things that we have done. We, of course, continue to explore other kinds of programs that would interest your students in becoming teachers. So we've partnered around the teacher cadet program. So those who are interested in becoming teachers while they're still in high school, we're working with your students on that. We've created the Emerging Leaders program with the Economic Development Board to, again, not with teacher education necessarily, but to become leaders in our community. I would love to see, of course, we have early college and we have the dual enrollment programs, which again help them afford education, and therefore they can spend more time in it if they need to. And I think we're exploring now, and we'll be doing more professional development opportunities. I know your teachers need to keep certified and keep their skills up to speed. And we would love, as our program, gets bigger and continues to develop, that we think about those ways that we can help your teachers move up. If I'm dreaming big, maybe someday we'll have a master's program, and
absolutely,
your folks can go to for additional education and credentials. The one thing I almost forgot to mention, it was our also Call Me Mr. program to get more African American men into the teaching profession, and so we've added that as well. And so those are the kind of things we're trying to do, and we're wide open to other suggestions.
And we certainly need all of the above, and certainly coupled with your affordable tuition. Hopefully that'll continue to open up some avenues for us, because right now in education, particularly, it's an all hands on deck approach. We've just got to have quality people that are willing to commit to the profession that I still believe is the greatest profession in the world. Maybe the only other two that rival what we do might be healthcare and ministry. Other than that, I think I wouldn't put education third in that group, but I'll take third if I have to, for sure.
It's certainly been a meaningful calling for me, and I'm
Absolutely.
sure for others as well.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears just a little bit. Let's imagine for a moment that you have the opportunity to present a case or a viewpoint or several viewpoints on the future of higher education. Where do you see higher education going in the foreseeable future, and maybe even long term?
Yeah. I think we've all been thinking for a long time that online distance delivery would eventually come to everybody. All the schools would have to step up and do that. And some of us have been doing it a long time. I mean, going for me back all the way to Lander, we were doing it. Mm-hmm. And South Carolina, it's been in the last 10 years. So, there's different timelines for schools to do that. If I'd had to predict before COVID, I'd have said, it's going to be inevitable that kind of every school is going to have to embrace that. It's been a real learning experience that COVID really taught us that there is a big group of students out there that's not the answer for them.
That's right.
They want a face-to-face. Sometimes they want a residential program, where they live on campus, but at a minimum, they want to see face-to-face. And so that's just a lesson learned. Not that online's going anywhere, though. I think that's still a necessary part for working adults and even traditional students who have to work or need the flexibility in their schedule. An online here or an online there, I think, is always going to be a part of education, into the foreseeable future. So some mix it just gives the kind of flexibility for students to be successful. But shift gears and get a little more philosophical, if I can. After World War II and the baby boomers, which I guess my parents were baby boomers, they didn't go to college, but many of the baby boomers did and grew our economy. But my sense is that after the war, there was a sense that education and science and government funded research was the answer, to the future success. And what's happened in my lifetime, I mean, I'm 55 years old. I'll admit that. In my lifetime, I've seen that the move from, yes, that's the secret to success. That's how you become successful. There's certainly other ways to become successful. You can be a successful plumber or welder or farmer or all those things, but a certain kind of success comes from education. I've been surprised by how that's changed.
Right.
I think many now question, is the cost worth it? Will a university education lead to a certain or secure future? Question whether all people have equal access and equal opportunity when it comes to university education. And that troubles me a great deal as someone who has a lot of faith and personal regard for higher education and what's done certainly for me and others that I know.
And coming from the background that you came from too, I'm sure influences that from small town and yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, education without hard work doesn't work either. You got to be a hard worker too. Now, then the other thing that's really contemporary is this thing that some people are calling the enrollment bust, the college enrollment bust. So you kind of add this cynicism or distrust or questioning about higher education with this very real demographic phenomenon that there's no question. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. After the Great Recession of 2008, that time period, the fact is there was a steep decline in birth after that period. And so the number of, if you do the math from 2008 to now, that's 20 years or so, or will be in 2026, the number of U.S. traditional age college students is going to begin to go down. I mean, and we've already seen it in 2014. They began to see the number of kindergartners going to school dropped off,
decrease. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's nothing we can do about that. There just aren't that. There's a lower number of kids. I think, just as an aside, I think the same thing's going to happen with COVID. I mean, they're now saying COVID, there was a decrease. So we're going to, 20 years from now, we're going to see the same dip. So what's interesting to watch and to live through, it's kind of this naturally occurring experiment. So if this happens, what do colleges do and how do they respond? So, during the lockdown, many people switched, as I've already mentioned, to online, and that taught us one lesson, that maybe it's not for everybody. They also, as another example, did away with the SAT or ACT. Many schools said, test optional and so forth. And that used to be just a sacrosanct thing. That was something you had to do. We all had to take it, and you just didn't question that.
Right.
But some people were questioning it. Is it biased? Is it not fair for certain groups and so forth? But nobody wanted to give it up. Well, COVID sort of forced us to give it up.
Right.
And I think many schools, I won't say us, but many schools have come out the other side and said, I don't know that we lost all that much by not doing it anymore. Absolutely. And so they're not doing it. Even USC, I believe, is perhaps not going back right away to requiring the test. Don't quote me. I don't know that. So you take that change, and you add to that the competition coming from a decrease in students. I think what we're going to see in the very near future, certainly 2026, and it's already happening now because we're all planning it. We all know it's coming, all the way to 2030 or so. We're all going to be fighting for the same students. We already do that, but we know there are going to be fewer of them to fight for. And interestingly, South Carolina and the South in general isn't expected to experience quite the the fall off that the rest of the U.S. is. And so we're going to have other states coming to recruit our students away, And so we're going to be
that might be able to offer them more too. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So I think what we have to do is to think about all of that, go all the way back to the trust issue of, is it worth it? And for me right now, and this is probably simplistic, but I think we've got to think about rebuilding the trust with the public. And frankly, that's been how I've approached my job here, is reconnect with our community, reconnect. What do y'all need? What can we do? So some of the things that I think we're going to focus on, and we've already started talking about this, is the DEI stuff, diversity, equity, inclusion. All students need to feel welcome. They need to feel comfortable. They need to feel that the university is a place where they can be themselves. They can try out new ideas and explore and understand the world, not just the physical world and the scientific world, but their inner world, who they are, who they want to be, what they want their lives to be, those kind of things to do that. And to do that, you have to have people around you that are like you, that look like you, that have similar cultural backgrounds and experiences in your life. But also, you need to be around people who are different than you.
That's right.
And that's what a university can do. That you need to learn from that diversity that you'll find in the world beyond your family, beyond your friends, beyond your hometown. And I just feel like to do anything less than that is to send our kids out ill-equipped. So I think we need to do that. I think we're going to focus on what we've already talked about, new community relevant programs. What does our community need? Partnerships, because we got to save money. So we've got to partner.
That's right.
Keep this thing affordable. And last and not least, and this is now, again, we're working on all of those things at USC Sumter. And the big push right now for us has been student retention and success. Once we get them here, once we make them feel comfortable, we do all we can. We need to convince them that it's good to invest and it's something that they can complete without breaking the bank, and that when you finish, you'll have a career waiting for you in the community. And we need to figure out ways to help students prove it for themselves that, this was worth it.
Because those partnerships are so key, aren't they? Yes, sir.
They are. Anyway, I'm sorry I was long-winded on that.
No, that's great. No, that's great, and that's right where we need to be. So I appreciate that, and that whole lesson on diversity and making sure that we're community based and promoting programs that benefit our communities for years to come. That's the mission that we all ought to be on and about. So I think that's amazing insight. So, Dr. Sonntag, let's talk a little bit about folks who might aspire to become higher ed leaders like yourself. First of all, we've learned tonight that you can come from a town in Texas with a population of 400 people and end up being a very influential leader at the higher ed level. But if folks are interested in getting into higher ed, just like you have done, and into leadership, what additional advice would you give them?
Yes, sir. I've got two kids. One just finished college and one's going to be heading off next year. And I've told them their whole life, like my daddy did. Daddy didn't like laziness. You couldn't be lazy.
Right.
You had to be doing stuff. You gotta work. You gotta work hard, no matter what you do. So I think you got to come with that. Step up when asked to do something. In Rotary, we have a saying: if asked, say yes.
All right.
If asked, say yes. And develop talents that other people don't have. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a meeting and you're wrestling with, well, how do we get this thing organized, or who's going to do that or whatever. And I'm like, I remember when I was younger, I'd say, well, I know how to do Excel. Maybe I could put a spreadsheet together and that would help. And there's always people, oh, great, you know how to do that. I don't know where I even learned to do Excel, but to have that little extra skill helps. But all of that aside, I think it's important if you want to be in higher education,
Mm-hmm.
at my level, certainly in the USC system, you're going to have a PhD. You're going to have a doctorate degree.
Right.
And that doctorate degree, at least traditionally, needs to be in a discipline, in psychology or whatever. And again, traditionally, you need to go through the faculty line. You need to be a professor. You need to get tenure.
Right.
You need to get promoted. You need to do those things because, the faculty play, in some ways, compared to, say, business or other, in business, there can be a boss who says, well, build these machines this way and now use them this way. And
Right.
But that's an oversimplification. But here, I can't do anything without the faculty. What we're selling or what we're producing is education, which is delivered by the teachers, by the faculty.
Right.
And so I think to have legitimacy as a leader in higher education, you have to understand that. You have to have walked in their shoes. Now, I think there are other paths. I'm just saying sort of my path.
Right.
And I think the traditional USC type experience, move through leadership, that's a must. I think you need that PhD, that experience. I think there are other ways, but it might be more challenging to get there. There's a lot of talk these days about presidents at big universities coming from philanthropy. They're fundraisers, or maybe they were CEOs at a big company. Yeah, that happens, but I bet you if you did a survey, you'd find most of them are PhDs that went through the faculty line.
Right.
So yeah, there's other pathways, but I think you need to do that. You need to be comfortable with people, and you've got to enjoy reading and thinking deeply about things. You need to read widely, broadly, both in your discipline and across your discipline, and for fun,
Right.
all of those kinds of things, because all that comes in handy when working with other people. I personally think you got to keep your ego in check. There are some out there that don't, and they're successful too. But that's a different path than I would want to.
And the amazing thing, a lot of great advice for leadership in general, certainly. But one of the things that you said that I talk to people about all the time, the best leaders, in my opinion, have a great understanding of what it is they're trying to lead. So it's kind of hard to lead fellow educators if you've not been an educator yourself. I've never kind of understood, particularly in our profession, it's difficult to understand what goes on in the classroom if you've not been in one yourself and you're trying to lead it. So I absolutely agree with you. Read an article the other day. I won't go into it, but there's a big argument about a gentleman who's been appointed to a school superintendency who last time he was in a classroom was when he was in high school. That's
lots changed.
It's going to be interesting to see how that works out for them. But certainly I understand, and I think that's amazing advice for our audience. Dr. Sonntag, is there anything else that I have not covered tonight that that you'd like to share with our audience at this point?
No, I think, I wish you the best of luck in our community. You're relatively new. We have a wonderful community that works together. City, county, our state legislators, all of those work very hard to support us. I hope they will continue to do that. I have no doubt they will. And I want our relationship, yours and mine, to continue to grow and just to make the best educational experience that we can for our students. It's a real joy working with people who care and put the time in to make a difference. And I sense you're that man. So good luck.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I too look forward to us continuing to build this community to be something that we can all be proud of. if you'll hold on with me for just 1 minute, we'll come back and close out the show.
Okay.
My guest next week on the Wright Experience will be Mr. Floyd Lyles. Mr. Lyles is the superintendent of the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice. We're looking forward to having him next week and giving him an opportunity and space to talk about the wonderful work that he does with children who may have made a mistake along the way, and an opportunity to rehabilitate the work that they're doing and still be successful in their school pursuits as well as in life. An amazing school and amazing work that he's doing at that level. We're looking forward to talking with him next week on the Wright Experience. That show will air on November 3rd at 7:00 p.m. On Facebook Live and the YouTube channels. While I'm taking a moment to talk about next week, I'd also like to take this opportunity to say thank you to you, those of you that are viewing us and that watch this podcast, and thank you for all the amazing comments. And I need you to do me a favor. As you continue to watch this content, if it is indeed informative and helpful to you, please share the word with others. Please take the opportunity to go to our YouTube page, which is listed under my name, Dr. William Wright Jr., and make sure that you click like and comment, and most importantly, subscribe to that channel so YouTube will be known. It'll be known to them that we indeed have some comment and content here that listeners are used to and want to enjoy. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for being committed listeners to the content that we're providing. We're looking forward to continuing to bring you even more amazing guests, and I'm just as excited as I can be about the progress of this show. Dr. Sonntag, my friend, thank you very much for agreeing to be a part of the Wright Experience. We're going to have you back up here at a later time to continue talking about these amazing partnerships and this work that you're doing to try to better our community. In my opinion, the work that we have yet to do moving forward is so much more crucial and critical at this time as we're trying to rebound and get people to where they need to be and provide quality folks for all of this work that needs to be done in these United States. So hats off to you for the work that you've been doing, and we're going to get this thing done together.
I appreciate it, and I agree and pledge to work with you on it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And to the Wright Experience audience, thank you and good evening.